regret ever getting involved in?
I didn't have a choice. It got bad when I was about 15 years old. I'm sorry the way that I look. My God, it hurts so bad. It hurts. It hurts so bad because there's like nothing I can do about it.
Aaron Carter died back in November 2nd, 2022 at age 34. And according to reports at the time, his cause of death was found to be due to an accidental drowning after ODing on Xanax and a bunch of other substances. On the morning of November 5th, 2022, Aaron was found submerged in the bathtub at his house by his housekeeper, who called 911 and was instructed to begin CPR. Paramedics were called to the location, and Aaron was pronounced dead at the scene at 11:14 a.m. After the scene investigation, his body was transported to the department's Forensic Science Center for examination. The report stated that Aaron was incapacitated while in the bathtub, ultimately leading to drowning as the drugs took effect. A lot of people didn't believe a word of this and still believe to this day that his autopsy was fabricated by the higher-ups to hide what really happened to him. Everyone knew he was struggling with drugs, and according to the streets, they used that to gaslight everyone into thinking he died from stuffing himself up with substances and accidentally drowning. The reason people made these allegations was because Aaron was very vocal about the creepy things that were going on in the industry. And we all know Hollywood doesn't like that at all. Everyone who has tried to do this either gets labeled crazy and ends up in a facility or dead. There's no in between. And unfortunately for Aaron, he was a victim of both. The saddest part about this was that Aaron started out in the industry as a child actor at just the age of 9. So he was getting touched on by creeps in Hollywood at a very early age. Despite him having very successful albums and singles throughout his career, he admitted that all that money was stolen from him by record executives who were just interested in taking advantage of him, both financially and physically. In 2002, he filed a lawsuit against his manager, Lou Pearlman, accusing him of owing hundreds of thousands of dollars in royalties. They eventually settled out of court, but he sued him again in 2007 to be let out of his recording contract, which he actually won. But it wasn't just his manager and record executives stealing from him. His entire family, specifically his mom, was also taking advantage of him. And once he was old enough to get her, he wasted no time. In 2003, Aaron filed for legal emancipation from his mother and co-manager Jane Carter. He was supposed to have over $45 million in his trust fund by the time he turned 18 under California's Coogan law, but by the time he had access to the fund, it only had $2.1 million in it. You see, he claims he made over $300 million in his career by the time he was 18. And per the Coogan law, his parents are supposed to set aside 15% of his total earnings in his trust fund. His mom, on the other hand, was allegedly blowing through all the money on herself and only saved up $2.1 million instead of 45. Oh, hell no. I would be suing everyone too, because what do you mean I'm only getting $2.1 million when I'm supposed to have $45 million? And guess what? To make matters even worse, Aaron also said he was blackballed once he started dragging everyone to court. When he tried to get signed by other labels, they refused to even touch him because they knew there were some higher-ups that would make sure his career failed if they tried signing him. This led to him getting severely depressed, and he started taking every hard substance he could get his hands on to cope. He spent years going in and out of rehab facilities, but nothing worked.
Take for high blood pressure medication, and I took for my mouth.
In fact, right after Aaron's death, people started looking into him, and that's when they realized that he was in Diddy's circle when he was still a kid. It's unclear what exact business he had going on with Diddy, but according to Streets, Diddy was part of the executives who touched on him appropriately and forced him into using substances. A blind item from Aaron's camp revealed not too long ago that Aaron was working on a documentary to expose Diddy for his involvement in his trauma right before he supposedly died from drowning. Aaron Carter was unalived right before he was about to expose what happened at P. Diddy's ST parties, where he was a childhood victim of substance misuse and rape. Aaron Carter released albums under Sony Music Group Entertainment, which is a parent company of P. Diddy's Bad Boy Records. If y'all remember back when Kanye was acting up and selling those White Lives Matters t-shirts, Diddy's handlers instructed him to get in Kanye's DMs and tell him to instruct Kanye to cut it out. But Kanye put the DMs on blast and basically told him to F off. Around the same time, Aaron tweeted, "Yo Kanye, let's talk man to man." This was actually the last tweet Aaron made before he was found dead. Well, word on the street is Diddy forced Aaron to make that tweet. Not only that, folks have been connecting the dots, and they claim that Aaron wasn't actually trying to talk about the shirts, he wanted to talk about something else. And remember what I said about Malcolm Warner also being caught up in the industry and mysteriously dying when he started exposing the people who hurt him? Just like Aaron, Malcolm also broke out in the industry as a child star. And just like Aaron, he also died from drowning. Coincidence? Well, folks seem not to think so. According to reports, he was swimming with his 8-year-old daughter at a beach in Costa Rica Rica when he drowned. A surfer used his board to bring Malcolm's daughter to safety, and a volunteer lifeguard pulled Malcolm and another surfer to shore, where Malcolm was given 45 minutes of CPR, after which he was pronounced dead. But baby, when I tell you nobody was buying that accidental drowning mess, and get this, before he even passed, a spiritual teller on Instagram had already dropped a prophecy talking about how a big-name celeb is going to go on vacation and not make it back. Folks laughed it off and even reported her page for spreading conspiracy theories. But once the news about Malcolm's death, everybody ran back to that video to tell her that she was up to something the whole time.
Quick word. Somebody on a big stage is about to fall.
The hour, a star from The Cosby Show has died.
Malcolm Jamal Warner drowned yesterday while on vacation with his family in Costa Rica.
Now, this is where things get even crazier. Word on the streets is that his death had something to do with his time on The Bill Cosby Show. Malcolm was on the show from when he was 14 to he was 21. And as you all know, Bill was exposed for essaying the kids in the show. People claim Malcolm experienced some form of SA on the show, and he was in the works to put all of it on blast. In fact, not too long before his trip to Costa Rica, Malcolm revealed in an interview that he had gotten some opportunities to be on TV shows and movies where he would have to basically sell his soul in order to do the things the roles were demanding for him to do, but he turned it down to save his integrity. He didn't go into details about what exactly they were asking of him, but it was enough for him to leave millions of dollars on the table.
I think I was very fortunate coming out the gate with Cosby, which put me in a position where, and because I've always had a good team around me, I've always been in a position where I've had the luxury of being meticulous about the kind of roles that I choose. My mom was really instrumental in getting me to understand the concept of longevity, the concept of being versatile within this business, because she would always say, if you look at anyone in this business who's had longevity, there are times when they've been hot and times where they've not been hot. You have to decide what you're going to do during those times when you're not hot, so you're not making desperate acting choices. I've been fortunate enough to I've always had the financial wherewithal to be meticulous about the kind of work that I do. So I have a body of work that I will never have to be embarrassed by. Now, there may be some work I might be embarrassed because I might have been whack, but there's nothing in my body of work that I'll ever have to be embarrassed in that I misrepresented my people, or I have continued to perpetuate stereotypes of our people. I've been very fortunate to be able to, pick and choose. I've never had to take a role that I felt would compromise my soul.
TMZ is now reporting that Malcolm Jamal Warner's death, which was initially called accidental drowning, was due to a high current in the ocean while on a family vacation. Initially, TMZ simply reported that they had an unconfirmed but reliable source saying that he simply died of accidental drowning, no other detail. Right off the bat, the internet seemed very perplexed about how does an accidental drowning occur. I immediately thought of Matthew Perry and Whitney Houston. They had the same cause of death, so we know where that came from. So no illicit behavior, nothing, no smoking gun that you can really point to other than a powerful current in the ocean while you were swimming with your family on vacation, which is like maybe the most tragic circumstances of all. Everything was good, you're hanging out with your family, you're on vacation, you're making memories, and next thing you know, a rip current rips you away, and that's all she wrote. I honestly don't know what's worse. Something that's regrettable and reckless leaves you wondering why and how did we miss this and could this have been avoided. Something like this, though, is just like 1 minute you're good and the next minute you're gone. With your family there, and I'm sure they were trying to save you, and oh my God, that is absolutely gut-wrenching. Just one of those examples of how Mother Nature can be an absolute deadly force. So once again, rest in peace to Malcolm Jamal Warner, gone at the age of 54, simply from a rip current while swimming with his family. Oh.
Just remember the people who aren't in the headlines, the ones who made Diddy what he is. Those are the ones you need to be scared of. No child should be exposed to this business or these people. But now I want to know your thoughts. What do you think about Aaron and Malcolm's sudden deaths? And do you really believe there was foul play involved? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below, and don't forget to click here to watch this other messy video.